So, how they get their alcohol? Where do these teens party? And how these teenagers actually party? What is going on, guys? What is going on? What is going on? It is your boy DQ back at you again with yet another video. If you are brand new to my channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. I post videos all about Germany, so if that is your cup of tea, hit it, just smash it. You won't be disappointed. Okay? So, today's video was going to be drinking culture in Germany, but there's two different types of drinking culture. You have teenage drinking culture, then you have adult drinking culture. So I am splitting this video into two, and this is going to be about drinking as a teenager in Germany. As we all know, in the US, you can't drink until you're 21, but people still drink anyways. So that's exactly what we will be discussing today. The reason why I know about the drinking culture for teenagers in Germany, no, I was not a teenager in Germany, but I was working at a boarding school for 2 years, so I have a little experience with teenagers, considering that all the teenagers were there all the time. For my German speakers who are unaware what a boarding school is, it is a school with an Internat, also eine Schule mit Internat. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So, as mentioned before, the drinking age in the US is 21. Everybody knows this. The drinking age in Germany, a lot of countries are 18, but Germany is actually 16. But that is only for beer and wine. A lot of people know that, and then it's 18 for hard liquor. So that's vodka, rum, tequila, etc., etc., etc. I think you understand where I'm coming from. But did you know in Germany, there's technically no law against drinking in your private time? That came out so wretched. Let's try the. I can't talk now. In Germany, it's technically not illegal to drink in the privacy of your own home. So if you're 14 or 13 and your parents say it's okay to have a drink or two, it is a-okay. It is not illegal because you are in the privacy of your own home. There are technically no laws or anything against this. I've done my research, and I also got told this while I was in Germany as well. You can be 8 years old if you wanted to. As long as your parents say it's okay and you're not in public doing these things or whatnot, then it's okay. So, even though the drinking age in Germany is 16, so you are allowed to drink, in the US, teens are going to drink anyways. So, we're actually going to talk about some of the differences that I've really noticed between the US and Germany and how teens actually drink and interact with one another. So, how they get their alcohol. In Germany, you can drink at the age of 16. That's beer and wine, as said before. So, all these 16-year-olds can actually go to the grocery store. That's right, to the grocery store, not a liquor store, and actually buy that beer and wine. But at the age of 18, they can buy that hard liquor. In the US, you can't buy liquor in every state in the grocery store. You actually have to go to a store that is designated only for liquor. So you have to go to a liquor store. For those 16-year-olds that want that hard liquor or something, they typically either, one, have an 18-year-old friend, or they just use an ID of a friend and then they buy that hard liquor. In the US, it's not really that easy. A 14, 15, or 16-year-old can't really pass off as a 21-year-old. So, how do they get their alcohol? Easy. One, they take it from their parents. Every parent typically has an alcohol cabinet. Especially at my house, we have an alcohol cabinet, and it is... So typically a lot of those teens just take the alcohol from their parents, and then they bring it to a party, and they drink at the party. If you have some cool parents, which not a lot of people really do, you can actually ask your parents to buy liquor, and they will. I don't know why it took me so long to say that, but yeah. But you can ask your parents to buy the liquor, and they will give it to you. Or Two, they might have an older sibling. So the older sibling will be like, yeah, okay, I'll buy it for you. My brothers are 10 and 8 years younger than me. The 18-year-old doesn't drink alcohol. The other one does, but yeah. Number three, what Americans typically do is we ask homeless people. When I was in high school and we would want alcohol and everything, we always asked the homeless people. We would walk up to a homeless person and say, hey, we'll buy you a pack of cigarettes if you go buy us alcohol. And they always did it. Always did it. There was never a time where they're like, oh no, I don't feel good. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And they don't care because they're not paying for it. We're giving them the money and whatnot. And so they go and purchase it for us. Or number four, you have a fake ID. Again, it's kind of hard to pass as 21 where you're 16, but with how people look nowadays, it is super hard to really tell if someone is 21 or not. So I guess that leads into, where do these teens party? In the US, the teens tend to party in the woods. What you actually see on TV is what actually happens. We will build a fire in the middle of the woods, and it's going to be somewhere very remote so that way the cops can't necessarily find us. Or if we're being loud, there's no one around to complain and call the cops per se. So we always go into the woods, we have some music, we light a fire, and we're just dancing, and yeah. Also, another place where we used to drink is the power lines. So we would always follow the power lines into, again, the woods and whatnot, but the power lines actually helped us not get lost because you could just follow those. When you go into the woods, it's kind of hard because it gets dark and then you have to find your way out through the trees and everything. It becomes difficult. So we always use the power lines for reference, and we would actually party underneath the power lines so that way we're not wandering off into the woods or too far somewhere. And obviously in the US, the house parties. You have house parties all the time in the US, no matter what age you are. The older you get, the quieter the house parties get, but the more fun they get. Whereas the younger you are, when you're a teenager, you have those house parties, they get out of hand, stuff gets broken, then you have to clean up and everything. No one knows how to act, and it's just ridiculous. Where do these teenagers actually party in Germany? So they may have house parties, or they rent out a place where they can actually drink. And I actually saw this a lot when they would actually rent out places. There were almost no house parties. I think this is because in Germany, the houses are either very, very small or they're too close together, so it's almost guaranteed that the neighbors will be calling the cops, saying it's too loud and they need it to be a little quieter. This won't happen in the US because all the houses are super spaced out and you can be as loud as you want, and it doesn't really happen often that the cops are called unless the party's out of control. In Germany, they also tend to party in the woods as well. But they have their cool little hangout spots. In a small town that I was living in, it was the bridge at the river. We would always go to that bridge at the river and just chill, drink, and play music. In my small town in Germany, we also had a castle that you can go drink at. So we would be drinking inside of a castle. It would be in the basement, but yeah. And that's actually another place people party, are basements. So in Germany, you will always have Keller parties, which are basement parties. They happen very often. Also at the age of 16, guess what you can do in Germany? You can go to the club. So the German teens go to the club. There are restrictions and everything where they would get a wristband and get X's on their hands. Also, there's restrictions on the times that they can be in the club. If they don't have anyone signing them in, then they have to leave the club by midnight. If they do have someone that is over the age of 18 signing them in, I believe you have to leave around 2 o'clock. It could be 3 o'clock. I'm not quite sure. I forget what I was saying. But typically, that person that signed them in always had to give their ID as well. And in order for that person to get their ID, so let's just say I signed in a 16-year-old I had to give my ID up, and then when I wanted to leave, I also had to bring the 16-year-old. They cut off their wristband, took off the access, and said, okay, you have to leave now. I would get my ID back, and then that person wouldn't be able to get in. I felt bad sometimes because I did sign people in, but I'm like, all my friends are leaving. I'm not staying at this club just to make you happy. Sorry that you have to come out and all your friends are inside. Not my fault. It is what it is. Not all clubs in Germany are 16 plus. There are certain clubs that are 16 plus, but yeah. And how these teenagers actually party is completely different as well. How I see people partying in the US compared to Germany as teenagers, in the US, everyone is hormone driven. So everyone's dancing, and then there's a lot of making out, a lot of kissing, a lot of feeling, and you also have a lot of games that are being played. So these games are typical what you see in the movies when it's like, oh yeah, 7 Minutes in Heaven, where a person is locked inside of a closet with someone after spinning a bottle or something. There's always games being played at a teenage party in the US. Whereas in Germany, a lot of the times, I saw people sitting down and talking a lot and just drinking to get drunk. There's almost never any dancing, and when there is dancing, there's only maybe 3 people dancing. And what I also realized is a lot of people smoke in Germany, so a lot of these teens are just smoking. So people will have their drink, chill in either the smoking area or outside, getting drunk and just smoking the whole time and talking. I don't understand. Why go to a club and just sit and smoke the whole time, or go to a party? What's the point of that? I thought it was to have fun and enjoy yourself, but apparently Germans don't know what that is. Come on now. They might dance for like 5 minutes and then they disappear and you don't see them for the rest of the night, and you're just on a dance floor by yourself or at the party like, yeah, woo, 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 because I don't smoke, so yeah. It's absolutely fascinating to know that 2 different countries, even though one has a legal drinking age and one doesn't, how the people interact totally different from one another. But you also see a lot of similarities in the 2 as well. But at the end of the day, I think we can all say that teenagers can't handle their alcohol. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my video on how adults actually drink in Germany and in the US. It's completely crazy the differences and the similarities that both actually have. So hit that subscribe button, hit one of these videos that is up on your screen right now so you can actually see some more crazy things about Germany that you probably did not know. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.